All right. Hey, Mike Friday here from Gargoyle Systems, co-founder. So this started out as I got Mateo years ago when I was working at Empire Dow. He was working on a project. He's an engineer, systems engineer, used to work for Hyperloop and then Oceanics, and they were building these floating cities. And while they were building those, he had to have drone detection. These were in South Korea, so they had drone protection against North Korea, underwater, and in sky. In the meantime, when we would go back up for coffee, I was telling him how a friend of mine got robbed in LA. They took the safe out of the second floor and they used a drone to case him out to see when he was leaving and during the robbery. Because why would you not have eyes in the sky if you were going to rob somebody? So this led this whole rabbit hole of all right, what let's surely there's a ring or nest for drones. There's not, so we started creating it, and then we realized really quickly that this needed situational awareness for all cities, airports, etc. And they wanted a decentralized node structure of getting data of where drones were, not only just for security perspective, but also to build out the future lanes on the skyway to improve mobility for these eVTOLs that people can fly around in for delivery of drones, etc. So if you picture kind of, let me flip over to this scene in The Fifth Element. If you remember this. Right, so there's kind of to show you kind of the layers of what we're thinking. This is what we're doing in terms of how we're building out detection for drones above, but also long term being able to create that advanced mobility. So our first product, the G1, G2 actually, is it detects using radio frequency and acoustic to know when a drone is there. A lot of drones they could go off radio frequency, and that's why we use acoustic to hear the sound of it. It's kind of like the bird ID if you ever use one of those apps. But these are going out. Initially, we've got a backlist of customers just for the security. They don't understand DPIN. They don't want the rewards. They just want to solve their customers' problem. These are security professionals who want these for their clients. So these are casinos, hotels, private estates, HOAs around golf courses that have been hit with robberies. So they want to create a drone zone for security purposes only. Now, again, going back to the airports, we saw how much they're spending, a ridiculous amount just for radar protection. So radar is still necessary, but you need for the smaller drones, you need radio frequency and acoustic detection. So that's where we come in, but you also can't just put it at the airport. It's got to be miles out to give you situational awareness. So this is why we need to incentivize others to install these, and that's where the DPIN comes in. So we're going to have 20 units in the next few months, and we have a deal with the University of Tulsa. So we're launching press releases going out soon. That's going to be the first drone zone as a service, where we're going to have for a week a bunch of drone delivery, survey, security companies that actually have drones and come in and use our. We'll have Gargoyle systems throughout the campus, and we'll be practicing deliveries, all the things that come with this new advanced mobility. Hopefully, some of those little flying cars and whatnot. And this is where we test our drone zone as a service and use the token. So real quick, there's three personas. There's the NFT holder who buys the hardware ahead of time, may never see it. Unlike Helium, where you're both, you could be both. And then there's the node host. So we will incentivize people to put these on the roofs. Churches are high points. So we're going to need a node system. And then also the subscriber. Now, this is the data for the security data. Or if you're using it Drone Zone as a service and you want to enable part of your city to have this, and now you're taxing Amazon to come through and do deliveries, this is how you can monitor those. So that is Gargoyle Systems. Thanks for watching.
All right. All right, guys, let's bring Mike on stage. What is going on? How are you, Mike? Welcome. Muted.
Hey, I'm well, thanks.
Awesome. Well, Mike, that was a great presentation. I know that Shai has a thing for drones, and I think there's going to be a lot of questions here. We had you on a previous episode when we were live in New York City. I thought that was great. You shared a lot of insights. So I guess Leonardo, Shai, Aaron, all yours.
Hey, I'll jump in. I'm a bit of a drone fan. Unfortunately, you can't see the background, but there's a whole bunch of FPV drones and DJIs and stuff like that behind me. So on that note, the industry is moving towards a lot of silent, more quiet propellers. Can you share a little bit about your biggest challenge in the acoustic detection?
Yeah, acoustic detection. We're using a combination of testing in our own sound labs of whatever drones that we can get our hands on. but then also using YouTube videos and kind of using AI to collect as much of those sounds as possible to be able to feed into the algorithm. So it's been a bit of a challenge. So we're initially kind of just starting with a lot of the mainstream DJI ones. Most drones that come through, frankly, they're not the ones on, tethered, fiber optic or 3D printed ones. Most of them that we're seeing now are the common ones, which are more than 80% of the market, which are the DJI drones. So we're really kind of starting with the DJI drones, and then as we see others come on the market, listen for those as well.
Thank you.
Leonardo, you're muted as well.
Okay, need to be a bit more aware of that. Yeah, I'm also very curious, because I feel like your target clientele is really like these Web2 people, like you said, like that don't really care about crypto, that don't really care about DePIN. They want security, they want kind of like working tool sets that would help them do their own like services, etc. What was your starting point with where you decided to work with? So you mentioned, casinos, hotels, etc. I'm sure like you need to focus first on particular sectors and then you can expand just to make it more sustainable. I would really like to hear, your kind of like step-by-step anticipation in that regard.
Yeah, this was not meant to be a crypto project by any means. So initially it was kind of like just Ring for drones and it solves your problem. And then we found out quickly is including the hotels and the conferences and the concerts, they want to know not just where they have control. So you only have control over your own perimeter, right? They want to know like 2 miles out, is there a swarm coming across from there? So LaGuardia is like, hey, it's great, but can we go out as far into Long Island? Because if there's something coming, we don't want to, it can't just be, it's too late if we're only monitoring our fences. So how can we extend that, right? And when you start thinking about drones, they're decentralized by nature, right? Airplanes have landing strips. They have places they go. Drones don't. They're completely decentralized by nature. So, just like fire detection, right? Like a weather station isn't going to detect a fire in a house. We need smoke detectors in every house. So we need a lot of detection across the sky. And this is where it's like, I worked, had the helium and HiMapper and every other DePIN thing as soon as they came out. Realized like really quickly that we need to incentivize to expand that network. So it's like, oh, great, you can subscribe and just have your perimeter, which is what most houses, most HOAs want, the security casinos, but some do want expanded. And that's when it's like, all right, let's create this as a service that they can expand that, but we need node owners to be able to do that.
Right. Because I feel like the biggest barrier for DePIN is that you need coverage everywhere. And that's very, very difficult to achieve. Are you going to like start with certain geographies? Because I know you have like your testing ground in the camp, but that's just like, like the first phase of everything. Once you actually like launch and get out into the real world, I feel like you'll need certain geographies maybe that you will start with. Do you have particular preferences there?
Yeah, there's 2 cities that are really interested, Reno and Richmond, and they're about the right size. Reno's really ideal because it's kind of a circular area and the casinos are willing to pay for it. So as are the police. So that's kind of like where we're kind of starting, kind of like Uber did, one city and then kind of expand it from there, is really get that. So we're super early, right? So we are first doing the university campus and then going to expand to a city and maybe even Tulsa, the city itself. They're going to be at our demo there. So smaller cities at first so that we can prove the model and then expand, but we're baby steps right now.
Oh, very interesting. Thank you. Just one last question from my side and
sure.
I'll let other judges take over. But I'm very curious, like, have you discovered any particular pain points, either like going like the crypto DePIN route or even, like with the tech itself that you didn't anticipate?
Sorry, was the second question with the what itself?
With the pain points, like either like with the crypto side and DePIN side, of like incorporating the two, or purely from the tech side, that's
exciting.
Some bottlenecks that you didn't expect to encounter.
Not necessarily. Again, we're pretty early with the token. We haven't built anything yet. We've been kind of running some test models and whatnot on it, so we haven't built out the full token model yet. So we haven't. And again, I've done a few projects before on chain, so I'm familiar with it. So nothing yet there. The check has kind of been just getting it. We've got the units getting built in Kosovo now, and then kind of like when we're shipping them and all that. So it's taking us, more time than expected to build hardware. So that's kind of been the first thing. But so far, it's been good. And again, we have these first 20 models coming in June, so we're very excited to receive them, play with them, and they're getting tested now. So we haven't really gone, again, being super early, we've got our first alpha version here. We haven't had any problems yet.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Super interesting.
Mm-hmm. Thanks.
Nice. Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah. So you mentioned, I think, comparing yourself to Helium in the way that Helium, the device deployer, also owns the NFT, whereas I think you're saying that you're going to have the NFT holder and the device owner be separate. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So what we found is a lot of Helium owners have 500. We know one that has 5,000 units that are in storage that they were like, oh, these are going crazy. Let's get them. And then they have nowhere to deploy them. So it's great. It's a good cash flow product if it's up and running and it's working, right? So the idea is, let's say we roll out in Reno, you can buy 20 of these from wherever you are, and we're now going to give them to the node hosts, incentivize them, and you're going to split the revenue. So you paid for it, as many as you want, and now you've got a cash flow product that hopefully pays for itself over 2 years, and then it's just mailbox money. And then the hosts themselves are also earning by hosting the units on their roofs. And then the real difference is there. Now you're whitelisted. So we're going to Dallas next, and we need about 400 to cover Dallas. If you want to buy 30 of those, you're whitelisted because you also bought in Reno. So kind of like the NFT model of like, oh, you got this one. The next edition's coming out. You can buy and kind of invest from there. So that's ultimately what we want this to be, as a cash flow product for those who are buying the units. And then the node hosts are a little different, right? Because they need to be strategically cover their hex. So we've got our hex grid that we're going to need to fill in the blanks and find out, who's where to be able to fill those in. And that's kind of similar to, a solar model where like, hey, if you put this on your roof, you're going to earn from it, but we're not asking you to pay for it.
So that's my question there is, how then do you find the node hosts? Because isn't that the point of Deepin, is to try and get people to do this in a decentralized way to deploy? I understand what you're saying, where strategically you want to have these things placed, but then let's say this is the correct location. It could be above my house, for example. How do you get me to agree to that?
Yeah, it's the same. I mean, like, it's, hey, do you want to buy it and own it yourself and you earn double, or we're marketing towards those that are there. And there's also creative ways of doing this, right? So we figured between Matteo, my co-founder, and I in Brooklyn, there's 12 churches that all have the highest points within us, and that covers essentially the entire area over here. So we can also kind of go and market towards them and say, hey, like, if you put this in your roof, you're going to earn. No one's going to ever see it, and it's going to be in there earning away. So there's the combination of kind of I don't want to say the degen, but like hey, I need to fill this map. There's a spot here for me, but there's also, we're going to need to find pockets where, if those degens don't exist, that we're going to need to incentivize those to put them on the roofs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's not too many projects in Deepin doing that model. I've seen a couple, and I'm excited to see how it unfolds, because it's definitely an interesting approach, separating the NFT holder again from the actual deployer of the hardware. So excited to see.
Thanks. It's early.
I just want to jump in real quick. Thank you for those questions. So Mike, I'm curious similar to the acoustic question before, on the radio side, are there challenges in encrypted communications being used by some of these either commercial drones, maybe potentially more military drones, versus, the open source stuff that I fly? Is there concern with any kind of encrypted communications when it comes to radio detection?
Yeah, I mean, we're never going to complain, claim to have, cover everything and be able to detect everything, right? But we are using software-defined radio to scan, right? So the ability to go to cover as many channels as possible. That's not saying there's going to be some government channels that they're operating on that we won't be able to detect. But again, we're starting out with the mainstream ones to be able to see, like, most of the DJI and the most common ones now. But yeah, we're going to have to expand continuously. But we're starting, again, simple with, okay, we know this is a DJI Mavic, and that's what we're, on 2.4. That's how we're starting.
So thank you for that detail. So now, bringing the two questions together on the acoustic detection and the radio detection, have you experimented with node operators supporting enriching that data model? Because they're out there in the field, there's drones flying them overhead all the time. Is that something that you foresee, sort of the community helping enrich that model?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So understanding exactly the path that it's on, the geolocations, the angle of arrival, everything. The G1 that we're starting with is just radio frequency. So that's what we're doing at the University of Tulsa. These are all just legit drones. These ones are using remote ID, and these are again, friend drones. But then we expand to add the acoustic to detect the faux drones as well. At least know where they're there. But yeah, the more we have, and the G2 is obviously a better product in terms of a higher incentive, because you're going to be able to pick up more. And then we've got potential partners that want to add optical to it, right? So then that's more on the roadmap of like, all right, the better model you have, the more rewards you're going to get because you're going to be able to get more data. And then also open source that. Like, we really don't want to be in the hardware business ourselves. We're launching our product up front just to get the ball rolling. And we also have a backlist of customers that want, again, just the My Zone. That's how we're starting. But ultimately, we want to be open source where people can create their own hardware and detect as much as possible.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. And thanks, Mike. We're at time, but that was super insightful. If you guys want to get in touch, Mike, what should they do to get in touch with you guys?
Just hit me up. I'm Multi-Chain Mike on Telegram and Twitter, so you can find me anywhere.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. See you next time.
Thanks, guys.